Hey everyone, today I will be talking about the dogs of the Dow strategy and the work I've done to try to figure out whether or not this strategy actually works. And just to give a little bit of background for those of you who don't know, the dogs of the Dow strategy pretty much says if an investor wants to beat the market, they should invest equally in the top 10 stocks that have the highest dividend yield. And that way they'll beat the market hands down. Um, since its inception, the strategy has received a lot of acclaim, but as well it has received a lot of criticism. And as such, I wanted to just test it out myself and see what conclusion I came to. So I began my research by collecting the year start price, the start and end price for each of the 30 stocks, as well as the start and end dividend yield for these stocks as well for the past 11 years, so 2006 to 2016. And after compiling all of those numbers, I then calculated the stock price appreciation or depreciation, as well as the dividend yield appreciation or depreciation for each year for each stock, or in other terms, really the change in stock price and the change in dividend yield over the course of the year for each of the stocks. And that's pretty much just done by subtracting the start price from the end price and then dividing by the start price. And then in order to get the total return for each of the 30 stocks, I just simply added those two values together. That is the change in stock price and the change in dividend yield to get the total return. Just explain a little bit why I did this. In calculating the return, I had to be sure to account for the dividend. And by adding the change in the dividend yield, I'm working under the assumption that the investor is reinvesting in this particular stock, which to me makes sense because if they're following the dogs of the Dow strategy, they want to make sure that they're investing in the dogs so that they can beat the market. After calculating those total returns, I then just averaged the stocks to find the different total average returns. So for the dogs, I took the top 10 stocks with the highest dividend yield, took those returns, averaged them. I then took the remaining 20 stocks, averaged them to get that total return of the stocks on the Dow that aren't included in the dogs of the Dow. And then I took the average of all of the stocks just to see what the total average return for the Dow in total is. And then I compared those values to each other as well as to the total average return of the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. And what I found was pretty surprising. In fact, the dogs of the Dow strategy did not hold up once in the 11 years that I sampled. In fact, if an investor wants to beat the market in the past 11 years, it shows that their best bet is to invest equally in the 20 stocks that have the lowest dividend yield, actually. So the opposite of the dogs of the Dow strategy, essentially. And I believe that it has been reported that the dogs of the Dow strategy works because the dividend isn't being taken into account for. One thing I noted in all of the data that I compiled was that as the price of a stock increases, typically its dividend yield decreases significantly. So if the return is just being basically off of the change in stock price, the numbers would be greatly inflated because if the price of a stock is increasing, then it's stating that, hey, this investor is going to get a big return, but it's not taking into account the dividend yield, which is actually the portion that the investor takes home. So in other words, it's being shown that the investors would get a super big return, when in actuality they're taking home a smaller and smaller portion of the stock when it all comes down to it. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation, and remember, the dogs of the Dow strategy is not what it seems.